What's up, folks? This is your boy Dino, aka your Solid Five,
And Nicotine Barrier Crib
and we are
coming
the
at
Boo
you.
Crew coming at
New
you.
crew.
So we got a special guest today. This week we have Mr. Jack Hyde.
That's right.
Welcome to
Hey
the show.
guys,
Yeah.
Welcome.
yeah, thank you for having me.
So first of all, how's it going? How are things?
Yeah. I mean, like things have been like pretty busy on my end.
Yeah.
I've been like just recently. I just came back yesterday from Nottingham. I was like acting in like this social media campaign and everything. So yeah, it's been like these last couple of weeks, days have been pretty busy for
It
me.
sounds busy, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, in terms of acting and a lot of self tape. So
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I noticed you've been doing a lot, like especially recently. So that's awesome. That's
hmm.
great. I love that.
Well,
So how did you get into acting? How did that come about?
so acting. I actually started acting when I was 6 years old. So yeah,
Okay.
like a really young age, and yeah, like at that time I was living in Singapore, and
Oh.
yeah, like it's actually this is actually a funny but really true story. So at that time, I was like what I watched like a lot of like Disney animated films, sort of like Aladdin, Lion King,
Right.
Yeah.
um A Bug's Life, Toy Story, and everything. And I don't know, like those films, they really spoke to me. I was kind of like really inspired by like these journeys that these people, these characters go on and everything. And I was just kind of like not just drawn into the acting aspect, but also the filmmaking aspect. And
Right.
that's when I told my parents that I want to be an actor, and it was completely out of the blue for them,
Yeah.
especially because like my mom told me this one crazy story. She wanted me to either be a chef or a hairdresser. So, but luckily though, luckily like they did have connections with this British couple who were just starting up their drama school called Centre Stage School of the Arts, and
Mm.
I was actually part of the first ever batch at Centre Stage.
Wow.
Like Centre Stage at that time, it was just starting to lift off the ground and everything, and it was a very small drama school. And then
No.
as years went on, when it started gaining momentum and becoming popular and everything, obviously they moved to a bigger campus,
Yeah.
and yeah, I left there when I was like 15 or 16 years old,
Okay.
and I got accepted into LaSalle College of the Arts, and I graduated in 2014 with a performance diploma. And ever since I've graduated, I've mostly been acting professionally in like short and feature films, TV/web series, commercials, music videos, um, infomercials, corporate videos, and some theatre productions. And I also write and produce my own works, mostly short films and monologues. So
So
Wow.
I was gonna ask you about the whole Singapore thing because I noticed that you were doing some you did some projects over there.
yeah, yeah,
And I was like, well, that's gotta be like a huge culture shock. But I didn't know that you like were actually
yeah.
in Singapore, growing up. So
Well, yeah, like basically Singapore. Because I my family and I, we moved back to the UK 2 years ago,
hmm.
and before we made the big move, yeah,
Mm.
we lived in Singapore for almost 28 years.
Wow.
Yeah, like pretty much almost my whole life. And
Yeah.
what, what's also interesting, and obviously you guys probably aren't going to believe me, but I wasn't actually born in Singapore, and I wasn't born in the UK. I was born in Tokyo.
Really?
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
pretty cool.
I know. Yeah, like and that really it really like shocks a lot of people because it's like, oh Jack, you were born in Tokyo, so surely you must speak like Japanese fluently and everything. And
No.
I only know konnichiwa, domi arigato, and that's pretty much it.
Well, you were so
But yeah,
young, right? You were so young
yeah,
when you
like the
moved. So
basics.
yeah.
As
And
much as I speak.
and yeah, because like and it's really interesting because like a lot of people said like, well, Jack, you've lived in Singapore for almost 28 years, so surely you must speak Mandarin. Mandarin's like
Mm.
the primary
Okay.
language in Singapore and everything. And I'm just like, no, like during my school years, I never had Mandarin. I was never taught Mandarin
Yeah.
as a class. So yeah, and plus I went to an international school, so I kind of like was able to maintain that British accent and not fully adapt to the Singlish accent that I was so used to hearing, especially from my Singapore friends.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's so interesting because like I understand though because like I'm Mexican but like I don't speak a lick of Spanish, you know. So
Hmm.
just only because like my grandma grew up in segregation, so she didn't teach us any Spanish. So she was terrified of us being part of that like culture, like as far as like the racism and all that stuff. So she was
Hmm.
like she just only spoke English to us, and that's all we knew, you know.
Hmm.
But she was fluent in Spanish and English.
Wow.
So that kind of sucks.
So then, for your modeling career, how old were you when you got into modeling with all this young age started acting? Like, when did modeling fall into all this stuff?
So I guess like modeling, I started getting involved in modeling when I was in my second year at LaSalle. LaSalle, obviously is the arts college that I went to.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it was like my second year. I think it was 2012, 2013, and everything. So, and I think it was just like the, that's when I started getting involved. I did have like a modeling agent at that time and everything. And yeah, like it was I did like a couple of like photo shoots like here and there. It was mostly these kind of like photo shoots that I did. It was mostly like commercial and print,
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
and I think like editorial was as well and everything. So yeah, like I that's how like the modeling start. I mean, as of right now, not gonna lie, I don't really do much of it now, but like
Yeah.
I definitely do want to. Yeah, I definitely do want to like continue and get back into that. So yeah, obviously
Yeah.
because like right now it's like it's more so like acting and filmmaking um and like not as much modeling jobs um not as much modeling jobs that I've received recently or and even like live theater shows and everything. I mean, I definitely do want to get back into those modeling and theater productions and everything, but
Mm-hmm.
at the moment right now it's just kind of like it's mostly film and TV work.
Okay.
Yeah, I was looking at your Instagram and I was like, man, this guy has a very interesting Instagram going on over here. Yeah, modeling on one
Yeah,
end, horror movies
I
on the
mean,
other.
yeah, to be honest, like, I mean, when it comes to like social media, like, because I have like a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I guess what you can say, I'm not like massively active in everything. I mean, I'm active like here and there,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know. Um, but yeah, like, obviously, I don't really do much of it. But like every time when it's like, like if I receive like an acting update, oh, I've been booked for this role. Oh, like this film that I acted in, it's going to be released soon. I'll keep you guys updated. That this film that I acted in has been selected for this film festival. I'll let you guys know of the results. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, anything like that, I would post and everything. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
social
See,
media is exhausting.
yeah,
it
I
really is.
I think because one of my acting friends said to me like obviously because like for social media which is kind of like the film that the horror film that I acted in
Mm-hmm.
obviously because like social media it definitely has its like ups and downs and
Right.
everything. And in the case of like acting and filmmaking, social media is a good tool to use to like really promote, market, and brand yourself. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. 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 I mean,
and that's kind of like what I why I use my social media platforms. It's kind of like to market myself in a way.
Yeah.
right.
I really love how you stated your how what inspired you were films like Disney, like Toy Story and Bugs Life. Because I grew up
Mm,
watching those films too.
Yeah.
I grew up watching
yeah.
Ants and Toy Story and all that stuff.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. The creating of it, it was just amazing. And just watching a character, especially a bug or something like that, or a toy, follow their lives and their story, it just amazed me. And
Yeah.
I'm so
Even
I really like the idea of like that's what inspired you to go on and do that. That's pretty cool.
even like the like the DreamWorks films like Shrek,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Shrek, and even like the Disney classics like the Jungle Book, because I
Mhm.
think the Jungle Book came out in like 1960 something, so like way before I
Yeah.
was even born.
Yeah.
And obviously, like as a kid, like being fascinated with these Disney and DreamWorks films, like the Jungle Book at that time, I considered it like one of the best films ever made.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, yeah, to this day, there's a part of me that still believes that.
That's so wild because like
That's awesome.
it's funny because like you grew up on like Disney stuff, but like I started with horror like when I was a child. So
Really?
yeah, I was like hit the
So
floor
it's like,
running.
what? I'm just curious.
Oh,
Like,
here's a funny story, kind of
what kind
traumatizing,
of
but it's
horror
not.
films did you watch as a
Okay,
kid?
so here's the story. So there was this movie that got banned, right? Way back in the day. I want to say late '80s, maybe early '90s. It was called
Oh,
Faces of Death. You ever heard of
oh,
that?
oh.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So my brother got my mom to rent that movie and all it was a black box with a skull in it. So you
Oh my god!
so you didn't even know like what was on it, like it was just like so that movie is just about like people recording like like real people's deaths. So
Oh my
like
god!
so
It's
I'm
super morbid.
yeah, so I'm 5 years old and I walk in like they told me to go to bed, right? I'm like, okay, whatever. But I sneak out and I start watching this movie. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Like, like this is just like
That's epic.
it like traumatized me because I'm like, are these people like actually dying? Like, what's going on?
Is it like a snuff film or what?
Yeah,
What the hell?
basically, yeah. So it turned out that like years later, that's been proven that like, it's mostly fake. But like at the time, it was so controversial and it was so like banned in so many countries and.
It stirred
Hmm.
up a lot of controversy.
Oh yeah, a lot of
That thing
controversy.
was good.
It was like the
Yeah.
biggest like snuff film like at that time, for sure.
Hmm.
And then so my mom had to sit me down and she was like, "Look, just so you know, like the movies you see on here, like those aren't real. Those are just like effects and blah blah blah." And I was like, "Oh, that's so fascinating. Like, how did they do that?" And so then I just like became obsessed with like all the different ways that they're making these movies, right? And I'm like, Nightmare on Elm Street, what is that? So I'm like, so I started watching that, and Halloween, like, well, so I just started over the years to start watching all those. I'm like, man, these are like so cool and like weird, but like I don't know why I'm so obsessed with it. I think it all started with the Faces of Death thing, and I'm like, oh, so like you're telling me like I don't have to be scared from these things, but so I just started absorbing like all the things from the different movies, and
Yeah.
ever since then, and then I just started seeing like the comedy of certain things, and then you start seeing like who really is the good guy and the bad guy of like certain scenarios, and stuff like that. So I don't know. It
Hmm.
was just like a weird like transition for me to go from like wanting to be like a normal kid or supposedly being a normal kid to like all of a sudden watching all these like crazy films.
Yeah.
So that's kind of that's how I kind of got into it. It was just weird.
Mm. I think because I gotta say, mate, like you, when you mentioned that, like you watching horror films, like starting when you were a kid and everything, I gotta say, like that is just like a lot of courage right there. Because like a lot of kids, when it comes to watching horror, a lot of them wouldn't. I mean, some of them would be like a little bit like, oh,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, the fact that you were so inspired by that, like that's really huge, mate. Like
It,
that's
it
really
actually encouraged me to write too. So I started like writing short, stories and stuff. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
how do I make this better? Or how do I make this different? Things like that.
good for
So I
you.
started doing like all those little things, and it's just so funny because I used to like take my grandma's video rental card, and I used to just
Mm.
like rent a bunch of VHSs of like old horror films and just walk back home and just start popping them in. I'm like, oh, like this movie sucked, but there's like one cool thing in there, or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't
That's
know.
funny. That's
Yeah,
funny because at that age, you don't hear a lot of kids watching horror movies. Nowadays, it's crazy. I went to go see Final Destination, new one,
yeah.
and there were tons of kids in that movie theater. I saw so many
Really?
parents. Yeah, I saw so many parents bring their little kids to watch that movie. I was like, oh, I was amazed. And these kids are just
Yeah.
watching it, dude. They're enjoying it. So the times are changing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, like the fact that the horror film scene now is just like making a huge impact and like a lot parents are bringing their kids,
Mhm.
to watch these kind of films. It's just absolutely, it's just amazing to
It's
see. Just
beautiful.
it's beautiful just to see, like, obviously, because like the horror films like were, the popularity started like decades ago and everything, but
Yeah.
to see where it's at now, it's how much it's changed and how much it's grown. It's absolutely beautiful to see
Yeah.
It's so funny too because like my son wants nothing to do with horror films, but
Yes.
but I never watched him around him. Like I always like I didn't want to scare him. Like
Oh
go through
yeah,
that process of him being like, oh shit, and to kind of scare you away. So I just watch like comedy and dramas and stuff like that, or
Yeah.
yeah.
cartoons.
I mean, obviously, like every, like people who are, fans of film, like obviously they do have like their own preferred genres and everything. So
Right.
obviously, sort of like, for dramas, some people will love them. Some people think like, oh, it's, not really my cup of tea, and
Yeah.
everything. So yeah, but I mean, if, if people love horror, absolutely. If they don't love horror, then,
Yeah.
you know,
It is,
all right.
we all have different tastes. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Different tastes.
My my
Sorry, go
my
ahead.
son. I was gonna say my son's the same way too. But when I take him to go see a horror movie that he doesn't want to see,
Yeah.
he ends up coming out saying he liked it. And dude, I told you, man, you gotta trust me. You gotta trust.
Yeah. To be honest, like, I mean, like, I've actually been like that, before, just sort of like going into the cinema or even just like watching something on Netflix,
Yeah.
and like watching it with with my family, and they would say like, oh, Jack, this, I've watched this. This is really good and everything, and I'm like looking at, I'm just like, I'm not sure if I like
Yeah.
it, and
No.
then like after the film, it's like,
Yeah.
oh wow,
You
I,
loved
I
it.
actually I
Yeah.
actually really love that now. It's like for like a TV series. Like I mean, I remember my mom and um I remember when we were watching the TV series Ted Lasso,
Mhm.
and obviously like we kind of like knew before we watched the first episode, like, okay, so like Jason Sudeikis, Ted Lasso, American football coach, coming over to the UK to manage AFC Richmond, a Premier
Mhm.
League team in the UK and everything. And like the first couple episodes, we were like, we're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we weren't too sure about it.
Mhm.
Like we didn't know like if we wanted to carry on like throughout the whole and do the whole ride and everything. But then like as we started watching more episodes, we were like, actually, you know what? We love
Yeah.
This
this.
is
It's
really good.
Fell in
Yeah.
love with it.
Combination of American humor and British humor. This is great. I mean, like, the characters are I'm really hooked into them, like, and like what they're going through and everything. So yeah, like obviously it does take some time to you know to form an opinion, and like obviously,
Form a bond with it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
I like
I
that.
didn't grow up. I didn't like growing up. I didn't really watch anything that was like British comedy, or other stuff. Like I was so like American,
Hmm.
television. So
Mhm.
here's a hot take. Since we're talking about Disney and like cartoons and stuff, what has been your favorite Disney movie or a character?
Oh, so favorite
Let's go with
Disney.
movie first.
Um. Oh my god. I, as I've gotten older now, I mean, I did say that Jungle Book was like
Yeah.
at that time
Yeah.
like one of the best films ever made. I mean, mm, it's between. Oh, so I mean,
That's tough.
Jungle Book is still up there, but I'd have to say probably to this day, I'd have to say the third Toy Story film.
Okay.
That
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably like,
That's a good. It's a good movie. I
Yeah.
like that.
The whole
Is
series
that
is
the one?
just pretty good.
Is that the one where they're going down the conveyor belt into the fire?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The school.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
oh my, like when I remember like watching that with with my family and I, and seriously, when the toys are like an incinerator or something,
Yeah.
and like, and they can't get out and everything, they're all holding each other's hands and everything, just like just gonna accept their fate, like embrace it and
Yeah.
everything.
It
And
got dark.
The first time I watched that scene, like my family and I, we were each holding each other's hands, just like
You're like, who's gonna die?
and yeah, like in my mind, I was like thinking, God, this is
Like, it
really,
better be Jesse. No, I was kidding.
this is really deep for a kids' film.
It is. When I saw it scene, I said, "This is getting really dark right now."
Pretty fast. Did you
This
guys
is
like
some
that?
adult stuff right here.
Did you like that cameo from Sid?
Well, Sid.
Yeah, he does that cameo. He's the trash kid, or he's like the trash worker.
Is he?
Yeah.
Sid, yeah.
Yeah, he was a
Yeah,
cameo.
like,
He's wearing the skull shirt.
yeah, and he was like, still wearing that black shirt with the white skull. Like, that was the only, like, I mean, sorry if I'm like, maybe this is probably like the film critic part of me, thing, but like, obviously Sid was in Toy Story 1, still wearing the black shirt with the white skull, and obviously 3, like you mentioned, obviously we see him again, like a cameo, and he's like,
working.
Like a garbage man or something like
Yeah,
that.
he's like the trash collector or something like that.
You see him wearing that shirt, and I was like, when I look back on it now, I'm just like, how does that shirt still fit? I'm sorry, but
it's true. I know. I get it. I'll be like that.
Like I said,
I'll be like that too.
This is just the film critic part of me talking. So.
Also, like, it's so funny because like the journey makes sense, from him being like a really bad child to be like now he's collecting trash,
Yeah.
That's funny. I'm the same way.
I'm sure.
I'm the same way when it comes to him when I watch movies. I was like, how is that physically possible to happen? He's like, dude, it's a movie. That's just what it is.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you do get like that. It's just a film. Why do you have to be like so nitpicky? But yeah, I just have like this one question.
Yeah. Same here. I'm like that.
That's probably my favorite series too of Disney. Probably the thing that I can think of right now. So did you have any like influences growing up, like actors that you were just like you saw on TV or on film, and you were just like, whoa, like how do I do that?
Well, yeah, I actually do have like 3 actors who I still I still idolize, and I'm like really influenced by to this day. Leonardo DiCaprio, Daniel Day-Lewis, and massively Christian Bale. Like those 3, like Leonardo DiCaprio. Because like that's the thing though. Like what I find like really special about Leonardo is obviously because like when he did act in like films, sort of like what was it like What's Eating Gilbert Grape when he's Grape Gilbert or Johnny Depp's like young mentally challenged brother and everything. That was like the first time that he was nominated for an Oscar, and to this day I still felt he should have won that for that performance. And it's just that like when he was in Titanic and Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet, that was when like the whole Leah mania thing started happening and everything. It was because of like those two films. And Leonardo, I actually watched him in interviews, his getting asked about like his thoughts about Leah mania, and he said that he absolutely hated it.
I'm sure.
Because he felt that the people that watch his films, they would just see him as like this good looking actor with this good looks, like they people wouldn't take him seriously for his acting talent. So he decided to break out of that mold. Like it was a huge risk for him, a huge risk, and to sort of like break out of that mold and like go for like more mature roles, so sort of like The Aviator, Blood Diamond, The Departed, hands down my favorite film of all time, and obviously like Wolf of Wall Street, Revolutionary Road, The Revenant, and everything, and he was able to deliver that, and like people started taking it seriously. So that, and I was just like really inspired by that. And for Daniel Day-Lewis, I have to say Daniel Day-Lewis is probably one of the best like method actors that I've ever seen. Like even though I wouldn't say like I'm a method actor myself, but just sort of like how he's able to become like not act as but become like these
person.
people. yeah, like sort
Like
of like
changing his
Bill,
whole DNA basically.
yeah, like Bill the Butcher in Gangs of New York and everything.
Mhm.
Like he was hanging out with like some gangs with in New York at that
Yeah.
time. Just to get into it. My left foot. Some people might disagree, like would say like, oh, that's too much. But like for the film My Left Foot, obviously because like he plays this guy who's completely paralyzed, and obviously his left foot is only
Mhm.
active.
Mhm.
And so like they would film his scenes in like one location. They would finish that, they would move to another location, and he would have like the crew members like pick him up and carry him to the next location. He would never
That's
break.
funny.
He just he would just never break character
That
and
Yeah.
reminds
everything.
that reminds me of like
Dedication.
the Chappelle show where like they pick up the P Diddy, off the couch.
Yeah. There you go, man.
um,
So,
Yeah.
so on top of that, say when you're acting as a character in one of your movies, is it anyone that you have particularly in mind that you try to like pull from to build onto your character when you're acting?
Yeah. Well, actually, that leads me to my third idol, Christian Bale, because Chris, like that's the thing though. Christian Bale, I mean, I watched this guy, just deliver like this unbelievable, this incredible amount of commitment and dedication that I've never
Hmm.
seen from any other actor. And not just that, but like he also delivered like some form of intensity as
Hmm.
well and everything. And I mean, like, sort of like gaining muscle mass for American Psycho, and then like dropping like so much where he's like literally skinny.
yeah,
You could see his
Yeah.
rib cage for The Machine.
yeah.
Gaining muscle mass for the Christopher Nolan Batman films.
Yeah. Mhm.
And yeah, like it was just like really, just I guess like he was like very transformative, not just physically, but also like emotionally and mentally and everything. Like
Right.
I would just like, and I was just so drawn to that. I mean, gaining weight when he was in American Hustle, when he was former Vice President Dick Cheney in Vice, like he was just he was just on top of that. Like he just delivered this incredible amount of dedication and commitment. And I just every time when I see his performances, I'm just like so moved by it. Like I want to deliver that same amount of dedication and commitment to every single role that I take on, like Christian, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I get that's what I like really get from like learn from him. Like when watching his performances, when watching his interviews, it's just that insane amount of not just dedication and commitment, but also preparation as well. Like the preparation that goes into, making like bringing these people to life and everything. So like
Hmm.
that's what I'm like really drawn to, and I try to incorporate that into, sort of like how I work and like my preparation and even like my practice as well.
Yeah.
So like when
It's
you're
awesome.
making like these projects, these films, these shorts, and like let's say the director is like, giving you what their vision is, right? Do
Mm.
you put your feedback into that? Because I know some like directors and like they don't really want like some people don't want to hear that, like no, this is what I want you to do, or like but some
Well,
are more like
like that's
willing
the thing
to do
though. Like
that.
Well, like that's the thing though. Like I don't whenever like the director gives me a no or a direction,
Yeah,
I don't really question it that much. Like so like whatever directional note that they give to me, like obviously as an actor's job, it's my job to sort of like fulfill that and deliver it, you
right.
know?
Yeah.
I just I wouldn't say like oh that doesn't that doesn't make it like I wouldn't dare challenge the director and everything because I
Yeah.
feel that if I did that, it was just like the production would like delay and everything, and like
Yeah.
I would sort of like be holding back like everybody, you know, pushing back everybody's time and everything, and
Hmm.
I feel like that's something that I've always thought about. That's something that I've always um had in my mind. Like everybody is important on set, not
Hmm.
just like the director, but the writer, the producers, the
Mhm.
actors. even like the people in the technical side,
Yeah.
cinematographer,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
director of photography, even hair and makeup and everything. So I always put them first before me and
Yeah.
everything. So whatever the director wants, I'm just like, absolutely, I'm going to do it the best way that I'm going to do it the best way that I can. If you have any feedback, or if you liked it, or if there's like something that you want to try out, if there's like a choice that you have in mind, or if there's a choice that I have in mind, then we can collaborate and we can sort something out, you know? So yeah, just to make sure that like we're on the same page,
Right.
basically.
Right. That's great. So I saw that like you do like a ton of monologue stuff. Um,
Yeah.
so how's that ride been? Like or what's like the process like? I mean, are you writing all your own stuff? I mean,
Yeah, like I mean like the monologues, so far I've only written and performed 3 monologues
oh,
myself and
okay.
everything. Yeah. I write these monologues originally, and obviously perform them as well. So yeah, like I think what comes to writing and performing a good monologue, well, like the writing part first, what I usually do, right? Like say for example, if I wanted to do like a 3 minute monologue, right?
Yeah.
I would what I do, like I would set like a timer on my phone for 3 minutes and everything. I'd start it and I would have like a pen and a notepad, and I just like write, just continue write, just continue writing, like don't stop, don't think too much and everything, just write it until the timer until the timer goes off and
Yeah.
everything. And then obviously after that, then you can have the time to like look back on it and it's like, okay, yeah, that sentence is good. That sentence it doesn't resonate. I don't think it has like any reason, so cross that out. So like obviously just keep on writing, so that way you can go back, and that's when you can reflect on it and go like pick out areas that work, some areas that work, and areas that don't work.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of like my way of like writing and performing a monologue. But I'm sure that like there are other ways that that you can write a good monologue and everything. But that's kind of like that's kind of like the technique that works for me.
Right.
Yeah. Everybody has their own technique. That's what makes them,
Oh
unique.
yeah. It's kind of like with all the actors that I've worked with and everything. Like obviously everyone has like their own technique. Everyone has their own way of um of preparing, of practicing like certain materials, even like their own ways of like preparing for an in-person audition, or for a self-tape and everything. Like everyone
Mhm.
has their own um ways of getting into being this person, or getting into character and everything. And when I'm on set and when I see like these actors prepare and everything and get into it, it's kind of like a learning experience for me, you
Yeah.
know. And it's really fascinating and interesting to watch. Obviously I'm doing my own preparation and everything, but watching how other people do their own preparation, it's really interesting to watch.
It's nice because
Definitely.
you can also pull ideas from other people too, and be like,
Well, yeah,
for like this particular thing, I could try this as long as they're okay with it,
well,
and
yeah.
so
It's like that, like learning from each other
right.
and everything. Yeah.
I thrive on that. So
Mm.
so out of all the things that you've done so far, do you have like a favorite genre? Because I know you've done like drama, thriller, comedy, now horror.
Well,
So
yeah. So I mean, I'm a I'm a fan of like all types of genres. But if there's one that's like really I'm really drawn to and everything, I'd have to say probably I'd I'd have to say probably thriller, mainly because I say thriller mainly because like that's a genre that I've mostly been a part of, like mostly
okay,
been involved in. Yeah. So yeah, like I'd have to say like based on my experience, and especially like film and TV series that I've watched, I'd have to say thriller. Yeah. That it's
Speaking,
probably like the most fun.
that's interesting. Speaking of thrillers, I see you have a movie called Bitter Revenge. And
Oh
and
yeah,
correct me if
yeah,
I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. It says it's coming out July 27th.
yeah. So like, Bitter Revenge, it's having its premiere in Southampton.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, we actually produced that film. I think it was like around the end of last year, and then I think it was like February, March this year, for reshoots
Okay.
and everything. But like obviously the cast is going to be there, and the cast and crew are going to be there. But unfortunately, like I can't. I mean, as much as I love to be there, just sort of like reconnect with everyone, the cast and crew. I mean, like the cast and crew are just absolutely just lovely people and everything. I got along with them. I worked well with them and everything. But it's just that I can't make the premiere because 26th, 27th, I'm in Walthamstow, which is in East London. It's a part of London because I'm there acting in a short film, which is I
Yeah.
think it's a psychological another psychological thriller. So
Yeah.
yeah, the premiere for Bitter Revenge is coming up, and I'm sure it's gonna be great. I'm really happy for the cast and crew, Isaac, Sophie, Toki, Maria, just really really lovely guys.
Yeah. Tell us about your time that you had filming it. I saw the trailer and it looks like a woman saw something bad and then she gets killed and now
Oh
her friends
yeah,
are coming to take
so,
her. I saw your character in the trailer looks crazy violent. So how was your
yeah,
time filming
Rowan.
that kind of role? Yeah.
So basically, Bitter Revenge. Spoiler alert! Like I don't want to reveal too much detail. So, um, Bitter Revenge. It's about two sisters. Esme, who's played like beautifully by Sophie Carl, and Corbett, who's Esme, yeah, like Esme's sister and everything. So like,
Uh-huh.
what happens is that Corbett is working for like this record label, and it's family run. It's a family
Yeah.
run business. So it's like me, my brother Marcus, my biological dad Arthur, and my stepmom Evelyn. And but like what happens is that like like this family, obviously they're very well run a successful record label, very wealthy, very successful and everything. However, this family has like a dark side to them and
Yeah.
everything. So basically, when there's people trying to expose their business, just sort of like expose like their dark secrets, expose like their dark past and everything, what they do is that they sort of like kidnap these people, and they kill. The only way they can get rid of them is by killing them,
Right.
Yeah.
basically. So obviously, Corbett, she's working for us and everything, and obviously she's like saying to Esme like, oh, I'm there's something not quite, this family that I'm working for, that there's something not quite right about them. I just
Mhm.
know it. Like, so she has her suspicions about us and everything. So then Marcus kills her, and Esme, and like the and Corbett, she has a daughter as well and everything. So Esme, she's got quite a lot going on. So like obviously looking after Corbett's daughter, and she's also in a relationship with Harley, played by Toki and everything. So like obviously she's wanting to get her revenge for
Yeah.
her sister's death
Right.
by like killing this family
Yeah.
and everything. Like, the only way that she starts doing that is that she starts pretending to fall in love with Marcus and everything, to sort of like gain his trust as well
Mhm.
as gain the family's trust,
Mhm.
and then when the time is right,
Bam. Yeah.
start systematically killing them and everything.
Yeah.
So
Whack 'em.
That's how you do it.
yeah, like yeah, like hence Bitter Revenge.
Who needs
Yeah.
who needs it all,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And yeah, obviously Rowan is so yeah, I'd have to say like based on my experience as Rowan,
Mhm.
obviously each one of the family members you know are absolute lunatics, but I'd have to say like Rowan is probably the most unhinged out of the four.
Yeah, you looked on
To
it.
say it like that. So when you watch the trailer, like I'm like getting right up
You're right
to
up on her face. Yeah.
yeah, like look at that, you're you know. and she's crying. So yeah, like I'd have to say Rowan was, even though he's a very sadistic person, it was still a lot of fun to be Rowan. So
Yeah, I could imagine playing a role like that, just unleashing everything would be incredibly fun to do.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the only way I would want to, I don't know. I've always gravitated towards the villains, So
Yeah,
if I ever make an appearance in a movie, like I would have to be the bad guy. There's no way I
Yeah,
could like.
definitely.
yeah. I think like villains are, in my opinion, like villains are like really really fun people to be. It's not so much like, it's not like the way when I approach like a villainous character. It's not so much like, I'm a villain, so I have to
Yeah,
be like, I have to be evil, I have to be villainous and everything. But like the way that I approach it is kind of like, okay, so I'm being like this person who people see as like very violent and horrible,
hmm
and it's just that it's just at the same time I'm like, I'm wanting to justify like why this person is the way that he is,
yes,
Right.
like where did this violence come from,
yeah,
so sort of like what makes him so hated. Like, was it because of like a troubled upbringing? Was it because he was influenced by someone else, so sort of um like why was he like why is he so addicted to this lifestyle
yeah.
and everything? So
Like
I
what?
start asking.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry. Like what happened to
yeah,
this guy to turn him into this person he is now?
Mhm.
yeah, exactly, yeah. And just sort of like justify the reasons as to why he does the things that he does and everything, and why he sees committing these things. Why does he consider them as the right thing to do, you
Yeah,
know yeah,
yeah. That's a great way of seeing it too, because to the other side, that person always thinks he's doing the right thing,
Yeah.
and so that's a
yeah.
great way of looking at it.
And half the time they're
Um,
right.
It's kind of, yeah, like it's kind of like for Rowan and everything. Like obviously, um, yes, yes, he's a loose cannon and everything, but like at the same time, he's just doing what he feels is the right thing to do. He
Protect
wants
his
to
family.
protect, yeah, he wants to protect the family business.
yeah,
Right.
You know,
you
as twisted as that sounds.
No,
no, it
it's
makes
his
perfect
truth.
sense.
Yeah, that's his truth.
You've won tons of awards that I've seen all over your Instagram. What was the most memorable award to you that meant like a lot to you?
Oh, so the most memorable award is actually in the background, like right there. Like is that medal?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like that medal, it was actually really interesting. I think it was like it was in Los Angeles, and I think it was like early 2016. So I was involved in like this competition. They were doing like acting, singing, modeling, and dancing. I
hmm
took part in acting and modeling, and for the acting one, I had to do like two monologues. I had to do like a commercial monologue from this list that they provided me, and a minute monologue of my choice. And the minute monologue, I finished third place in that one, and that was, yeah, like that was the medal that they gave me, and
Cool.
that was actually like my first ever I guess what you can say, like my first ever acting award that I
Okay.
won and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, like and that one, because like that's the thing though, like in Los Angeles, it was at that time it was very competitive. Like there was like loads and loads. Like I think there was like about 800 people involved, not just like participants, but also parents, crew members. So
Yeah.
yeah, like it was a huge event. It was a huge deal and everything.
Yeah.
And just to make it in the top four, top eight, for the 1 minute monologue for the acting competition, for the adults, um, it was
It's a big
it was
thing.
just, yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a big thing. Like, I was just over the moon and everything, and I think like whenever, like when I won that award, it just kind of like gave me that that motivation and everything, and obviously that's kind of like what led into Monstrosity, which was like the next film that I well, like the film that I not only just acted in, but also the first ever film that I wrote and produced and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I saw that on YouTube.
Speaking of LA, I saw that you did a showreel scene with Nancy Arquette, founder of
Oh,
founder.
Nancy Risk.
Yes, Nancy Risk. I saw you did a showreel scene with her. I saw she's based in LA. Is that how did you come across doing the showreel scene with her?
Um, so Nancy, she's actually based in Australia,
Okay.
and she runs her own sort of like acting workshop in LA called the Hollywood Initiative and everything.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
never I've never actually like physically been to LA, to do like the workshops and everything, but Nancy's just absolutely incredible and everything. Like she's my mentor and
Mm-hmm.
everything, and she sort of like helped me, so sort of like update my spotlight, so like my acting profiles and make them like more professional and
Yeah.
everything. And the showreel scene that we did, the showreel scene, I actually wrote that as well.
Yeah. That was funny.
And yeah,
I liked it.
because like that's the thing though, like my agent at that time, she was submitting me for like these roles, and like a lot of them were like reporter slash interviewer, like TV reporter roles and everything. And obviously Nancy said to me, like, Jack, it's because you've been submitted for like those kind of roles, it would be good if you did a showreel scene of you being a reporter, so um that way not only is it something that you can add to your profile, but it also allows the casting directors who are looking for people to cast as TV reporters something for them to watch and everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, like he's done this showreel scene as a TV reporter. Let's consider him.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it. So like obviously that showreel scene. I didn't want to, like I picked basketball mainly mainly because like I'm not. I mean, I know like a few basketball teams, but I don't really watch it and everything. But the reason why I picked basketball was mainly because I wanted to do um like a sport like interview like an athlete
Yeah.
in a sport that I'm not so familiar with. So it's kind of like to challenge myself basically. So instead of
Yeah.
it just being like, oh, football, boxing, and everything, I'm like, I'm too familiar with those. Like, I'm gonna do like a sport that I've never watched before. So yeah, just to give
No,
it like something refreshing. Yeah.
yeah, they're definitely interesting. I saw the one scene you did. You're a reporter and you're interviewing this woman, and you're calling her out like she has like 20 mistresses she's been cheating on. And at first I watched it and I thought it was real. And I said, what? Because it looked, at first it felt real. And I realized, oh my God, it's a skit. But it was great. I loved it. I had fun watching that. That was fun.
Well, yeah, and I think because like that's the thing about because I did watch Nancy and we did watch like when we were putting the reporter scene together and everything. Obviously, because like we watched a couple of like sort of like reporter scenes from like different films and different TV series
Mm-hmm.
and everything, just to get like some sort of like inspiration and
Yeah.
everything. However, the only thing about those scenes, because like we did consider like about doing them, but like the thing is that they were like too short. They
Mm-hmm.
were only like less than a minute long. So like
Yeah.
obviously we were planning to make the show reel scene like 1 to 2 minutes long and everything. So obviously and it was actually really interesting because I think I wrote that I only wrote like one draft of that showreel scene, and that was like the day before we started filming it and everything. So yeah, obviously because like as a thing though, like when it comes to writing, it's like obviously the first draft is not going to be perfect and everything,
Right.
so it's going to take like multiple drafts until you finalize and say, okay, this is the perfect draft and everything. But for this one, it was just kind of like one and done basically.
Sometimes it works out that way.
That's right.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the haunting at Jack the Ripper's house.
Ooh.
So how did that come about for you?
So so yeah, like the haunting of Jack the Ripper's house. It was actually really interesting. Um, so like I was on like this acting platform called I don't know if you guys heard of it, Backstage. So like obviously I was like scrolling through, just checking to see like any acting job postings, sort of like, kind of like submitting my profile, putting myself out there and everything. Originally, The Haunting of Jack the Ripper's House, it was called Viral Haunt. Yeah,
Mm.
that was like its original title. And so I came across it, and obviously before I this is what something that I usually do. Like before I send my resume, before I submit my profile, I always read the details, like the project description, the people or character bios and everything. So
Yeah.
I'm like, reading all of this, and I was like, this is actually really interesting and everything. And like it's like, okay, so it's a horror film. Social media influencers or YouTubers
Mhm.
um, going to this haunted house, to film
Yeah.
like the paranormal activity. And like the vibes that I got were paranormal activity and the Blair Witch Project and everything. So it's
Okay.
like a combination of those two with a social media element to it
Right.
and
Mhm.
everything. So obviously I was like reading through it and I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. So I actually applied for I think it was like four different characters. It was um opening boy, boy that gets killed at the start of the film.
Yeah.
Jack, yeah, Jack the Ripper,
Right.
Jack the Ripper, Richard, and oh wait, no, it was five. It was Joe and Jake. Obviously I filmed like the opening boy self tape scene first. I prepared for that one and filmed it. Um, I thought it was fine. Like I was just like, I was okay. I was like okay with it and everything, but like I was like, I put myself down for five characters, so just have to, you know, got to keep going, got to move on to the next one, and hopefully deliver in the next one.
Yeah.
So obviously the second one, it was obviously the killer, Jack the Ripper, and this one it was actually really interesting because like oh yeah, it was Natasha who would contact me and she would like send me like the scripts and everything.
Mhm.
So for Jack the Ripper one, the killer, it wasn't so much lines and everything. It was just sort of like a list of like actions I had to do. So sort of like
Okay.
you know, fight choreography and everything.
Yeah. Different movies.
Something that I've never actually done for a self tape and everything. So obviously, so I included like two self tapes. One where it's like the standard bit, like
Yeah.
from head to chest and everything, and the other one where it's like I kind of like moved my phone back to make it like a mid shot, so that way they can see like how my upper body moves when I'm doing these actions. So yeah,
Yeah.
it was quite interesting. And then and so then I filmed I was practicing and filming my Richard self tape, the role that I was like 100% like cast in and everything, and I had to do like this argument scene with my best mate Jake, played amazingly by Jack Hoy, and then I had to do like this improv scene, you know, and just kind of like the improv scene was really interesting because I did like this one version where it's like I'm at this bar and like celebrating. Oh yeah, like Jack, I'm excited to be a part of this team. Like I'm really happy, and I actually told the reader basically the way that I had like the improv scene was just like, listen, I was telling the reader, Jonathan, you're Jake. I want you just to completely dominate the conversation. I don't want you to give me a chance to speak. I don't want you to have like any pauses. So
Yeah, just bulldoze the
um,
entire thing. Yeah.
yeah, and everything, and and obviously he was just like, oh, you know what? Let's celebrate. Let's have a drink. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, Jake. I don't drink alcohol. Oh, no, come on. Like it'll be fine. All right. I mean, you're the boss, So yeah, I felt the Richard one, the Richard self tapes. I was really happy with. Like, I'd have to say, I was like more confident and comfortable, like with being Richard, like when it came to filming the self tapes, and it's actually really interesting. So like after I submitted the Richard self tapes off, I started like practicing and preparing for Joe, and that's when Natasha messaged me and said, like, hey Jack, so we watched your self tape so far. We really loved your we really loved your Richard self tape, so we want to cast you as Richard and everything. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Awesome.
Like
Yeah.
I was like in the middle of like preparing and practicing for Joe and everything, but I thought like, oh wow, okay, I'm I'm Richard. I'm more than happy to be Richard in the viral the haunting of Jack the Ripper's house. So obviously, I put like my Joe and Jake self tape sides away and everything, because obviously there was no need for me to do those ones since I was
You already
Richard.
put, yeah.
You know?
You know what's funny? I was thinking like for like the self taping of Jack, I was like, it'd just be so funny to like ask one of your buddies. You're like, hey man, can I like beat you up on camera for like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
And they're like, I'll just send it over.
Yeah.
Swing an
But
axe
like
at you.
that's the thing though, because like a lot of my self tapes are actually like filmed in this room, and obviously because like I said, first time doing a fight choreography self tape and everything, and obviously I didn't have like anybody to film.
Right.
Well, I mean, I did have like a reader just to like watch. We could watch like the self tapes back, and he could give me like his feedback and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
But like, yeah, it was kind of like it was really tough because like it was a very small space and everything, and I didn't want to like knock my ring light over, my camera over,
Yeah.
and everything. So yeah, it was kind of. I mean, it was interesting, but I was kind of like at the same time I was like aware. I was like, oh god, don't whatever you do, Jack, do not knock anything down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
When does this come out, by the way?
So the haunting of Jack the Ripper's house, it's actually gonna have its premiere. I think like on the 23rd of August. Yeah, like very, very soon.
Yeah,
In
around the corner.
the UK. Yeah, so like in the UK, it's part of it's just been selected and announced as part of like this lineup for Fright Fest, which is like this huge
Mhm.
horror theme film festival
Yeah.
in the UK. I did some research on it, and yeah, like it definitely seems like a really big deal. Like I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I've heard
as
of
as you
Fright
should
Fest.
be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
I
got
have. Oh, sorry, mate. No, no,
go,
no.
go on.
Sorry, Nick.
You got Bitter's Revenge coming out, and then right around the corner you got the haunting of Jack Ripper's house. Yeah,
Yeah.
Busy man.
you got a lot going on right now, man. Good for
I
you.
know, like it's just been like really it's just been like really productive. Not just like these months, but like these 2 years that I've lived in the UK for, because I felt like when I moved to the UK, obviously I knew like okay, the acting and filmmaking industry in the UK, it's really competitive, and there's like a professional standard that they're looking for
Right.
and everything. So obviously I did take like a couple of like master classes, like virtual and physical, and workshops,
Yeah.
just to help sort of like expand my toolbox and everything. And yeah, like I've just been so blessed, with just like the opportunity, and quite frankly surprised with the amount of work that I've been receiving. But yeah, it's just been like a huge blessing. I'm so thankful for the people that have given me the opportunity to work to work with and everything. So yeah, it's just, and not only that, but just like learning from them as well. Like life is a journey, and it's just like every single production that I take on, it's just been not just like an opportunity for me to work, but like also to learn from and absorb, in the process and everything. So I'm just incredibly thankful.
Yeah, it sounds like moving to the UK has been a great, beautiful, positive change for you, and
Yeah.
I'm glad. That sounds great.
Thank you.
So now that you transition into this sort of domain of horror, right? Do you have any like favorite like horror villains, or like anybody that like kind of influenced you to like to sort of get into like this genre?
So for horror films, it's not really so much it's not really like villains per se.
Right.
Um I'd have to say like probably the horror film. I mean, I've watched like a lot of like good films, a lot
Yeah.
of good horror films. Sort of like a Nightmare on Elm Street, which is like
Mhm.
actually like my parents' like childhood favorite,
Yeah,
and
it's a good
and
movie. Good pick.
I'd have to say the horror films that really stand out to me that I'd have to say like probably like the best horror films I've ever seen are like Silence of the Lambs, American Psycho, Hereditary, Midsummer, and more recently the Substance.
I
Great.
started watching that. I didn't get to finish it though, but yeah, that's a really good like body morphing, film. Um,
Yeah, like I think because like the Substance, I'd have to say it's more of like a body horror.
yeah,
And I have to say, like, The Substance is probably like the best body horror that I've ever seen since
in a
The
long time.
Thing
Yeah.
and The Fly, and those
Oh
films
yeah,
came out in the
80s.
80s, I think it
Yeah.
was.
hmm
Yeah.
The Fly's incredible. Yeah.
It is.
The
I love
Oh
that
Sub-
yeah.
movie.
yeah. Um,
I mean, I watched. The first time I watched The Fly, it was just incredible. Like, I mean, how Jeff Goldblum wasn't nominated for that film, I have no idea.
Blows my mind. Yeah,
yeah.
it was incredible acting in that.
That
Yeah,
would have.
it
Well,
was
I
just.
mean, that movie in general should have just won a bunch of awards. Like
I
effects.
think.
I think did it win? Okay, I didn't look it up, but
Bateman.
I would
I
also.
think The Fly it did win an Oscar, but it was only one Oscar. I believe it was for best makeup design or something like that.
Okay, well that makes
Yeah,
sense. Yeah, because they did some
yeah,
wild stuff in that movie.
yeah.
So outside of acting, like when you got downtime, when you're just like you're not preparing for roles or you're not writing something like that, like what's like the thing that kind of like relaxes you that you're just like, all right, I'm gonna do this other thing to like kind of get my mind out of this,
Yeah. Like,
whatever.
what do you do? And what do you do? What's your daily routine? What do you do?
So what I usually do, every now and then, when I wake up, as part of my morning, I would meditate. I do like a couple of like breath work, sort of like breath work, meditation exercises to relieve me of stress and anxiety
Mhm.
and everything,
Okay.
just to sort of like help ground me. Even I would even do meditations in the evening as well. Sort of like meditation exercises to help me sleep and
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. So like sometimes I mostly do like a meditation in the morning, and every now and then I would do like a meditation in the evening and everything.
Mhm.
So, and I'd have to say like throughout the day because like that's the thing though, I'm more of like I'm definitely like a very introverted person and
Mhm.
everything. So like I'd have to say I'm not as outgoing and expressive as my characters are. So
There's
um
nothing wrong with that. All right.
yeah. So, yeah, like I'm kind of like a laid back kind of person. Like, sometimes like I'd watch a film or a TV series, not for preparation, but just to
Just to
Just chill.
relax.
Yeah.
yeah, just to relax and chill. Sometimes sometimes I would go out with my friends, like mostly like my acting friends, not so much for work, but just
Mhm.
to yeah, just to hang out, just to you know, go for a pint or two. So
Yeah.
But
yeah,
most of the time, you're consider yourself a homebody. You like to relax and enjoy your time.
yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah, because I work in the public, so like I work, I'm around thousands of people like pretty much every day, and it's
Yeah.
exhausting. I'm just like I don't want to talk to. As soon as I'm off, I'm like I'm going to my office. I'm not talking to anybody. I'm just like
yeah. But
I'm over it.
to be honest, I do work part time, mostly like Thursdays, Fridays, and the weekends, like at this pub,
Mhm.
just to help me like earn a bit of money, just
Yeah.
to to help fund for my
Yeah,
acting and
yeah,
everything. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. What's okay? I got a question. What's the Abbey? Because I saw it in one of the trailers it says the Abbey, and is that something that's just in the movie, or is that something that's like in the UK?
Oh, so the Abbey. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, like the for the haunting of Jack the Ripper's
Yeah.
house. There is there is a scene where we film at an actual abbey that is actually haunted.
Okay.
Wow.
Like so, yeah. So like this abbey, I can't remember what it was called. Riversby or something like that. It began with the letter R, but so yeah, like this, we actually did shoot at an abbey, and yeah, like it's actually haunted. Like there's actually like this website where you could do like night tours, where you could actually go into it and sort of like film
Yeah.
paranormal, yeah, try to like film paranormal stuff and everything. So yeah,
Yeah.
there is an abbey
That's
scene.
right up my alley.
Yeah, and yeah, like that was actually fun fact, like the abbey that we shot at, that was actually the last scene that we ever filmed
Wow.
for the Haunting of Jack the Ripper's house. I mean,
Mhm.
90% of the film that we fit 90% of the film, it took place in obviously Jack the Ripper's house,
Yeah.
Ripper Manor, or Ripper Manor as it's called. Like 90% of the production, that's where it took place.
That's funny.
Yeah.
We got something like that here. We call it the Winchester Mystery House. And it's supposed to be like
Oh,
a house
okay.
that was like built by this woman. He passed away, but they do night tours and day tours and stuff like that around there. So we got something very similar down here. It's
And the
pretty
manor
cool.
is like crazy because there's like unfinished rooms and like a bunch of like weird stuff in there.
Stairs that
Right.
go nowhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the twisting, the
Yeah.
small twisting stairs and
Mhm.
everything. Yes, yeah, that's kind of like the abbey that we went into. Like because obviously like we were on like this. I think it was like the main floor and everything. There was like cracked floorboards and everything. There was like
Yeah.
old tables, chandeliers, bookshelves, fireplaces, and everything. And then we went downstairs to where it's like this tunnel and everything. Yeah,
Not
to sort
creepy
of
at
like,
all.
I think it was like crypts or some. I think it was like a crypt or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, we would go into like these rooms, and it was like kind of like with these rows of chairs, so it's like very church like and everything.
Mhm.
So yeah, it kind of
Pretty eerie.
did get
Eerie and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, it did get haunted. It did get scary for real. So
Yeah.
So here, so now that we're on the subject of hauntings, have you ever experienced anything paranormal or like supernatural?
no, I've never actually experienced anything. I've never actually been to like a haunted, like anywhere that's haunted.
Mhm.
So yeah, like, I would have to say like this abbey that we filmed at, it was probably my first time actually going in there, like a place
Mhm.
that's been called haunted and everything. So I mean, like that's the thing though. I mean, I don't really believe in the paranormal stuff and everything, but like, I felt that as part, like me being Richard, like bringing Richard to life and everything. I like as part of my preparation, I would sort of like go on my phone and I'd search up like these haunted places
Right.
in the UK. So sort of like pubs, chapels, churches, abbeys, um, warehouses and everything.
Yeah.
Just sort of like oh, like this dead person's ghost who was murdered at this place, their ghost roams around at night and everything. So I felt like even though like as a person I'm not really into that kind of stuff, but like I
Right.
felt like for Richard's case, it's something that he would do because it's like his passion and everything. He's like
Right.
Yeah.
really drawn to that kind of stuff and everything. So obviously I was like reading through these articles just to give Richard, some substance.
Yeah.
That's so
Yeah. Get
interesting because
him in the role.
growing up, like I grew up in a haunted house, so like
Really?
oh yeah, so I've seen like spirits and heard a bunch of stuff and things like falling off the walls and a bunch of
Oh
like
my
random a bunch of random stuff. So it's just interesting when someone like tells me like, and I'm not saying that like I'm right or anything. It could have just been a bunch of coincidences of like certain things, science and whatever. But it's just always because you never know because
still, yeah, but like still like even like I said, like even though I'm not into the paranormal stuff, but like if something like that happened, like still like that would still freak me out.
yeah. So
Yeah.
that stuff's scary. Like that stuff actually scares me. Like when I feel like the energy, or like if I see something, I'm like, ugh, I get the shivers.
Yeah,
That's
like
the
it
only
makes
time
you.
I really get scared,
Yeah.
or if I'm about to get
Not,
shot.
yeah, that paranormal stuff is. Some odd years back, I lived in an old house in downtown, and in the middle of the night, in the kitchen, you could hear the cabinet doors open and close.
Oh
Oh,
my god.
sure.
And
It was
and
rats.
at first I didn't think anything of it, but then it kept happening in the middle of the night around a certain hour. And at the time I was with this woman, I told her, I said, "Do you hear that?" And she heard it, and then I knew, like, okay, this place is haunted and this and that, So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
we had to tell it, spirit, go away and leave this place. And as soon as we did
Do some
that,
sage.
those doors they stopped closing and opening in the middle of the night.
Really,
So
really.
yeah,
So like
that's
it
serious.
took it took you guys just to say like, spirits, can you please stop doing that? Can you please go
Yeah,
away? And then
yeah.
the
And then
door the
it was
door
done.
stopped.
I've heard that. I've heard like when you like acknowledge their presence and you tell them like cut it out. Like a lot of times they do
Yeah.
because like
No,
Yeah.
it's true.
Yeah.
It's exactly what happened. It went from 3 a.m, cabinet doors opening and closing, and then we told them to leave, and then
doubles
it
hour.
just stopped. That was it.
Yeah. Like obviously like sometimes like like those ghost hunter TV series.
Yeah.
Again, this is something that I did as part of my preparation for
Right.
Road. Like watching episodes of Ghost Hunters.
Yeah.
Sometimes like those film crews, right? They would often like bring in like a Ouija board, so
Mhm.
sort of like get that involved in everything. So obviously with the triangle, I don't know what it's
Yeah.
called. And they're saying like, spirits, if you're here, please let us know and everything. And obviously the spirit ends up moving it
Moving.
and
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything. So yeah.
I've never tried a Ouija board, but like I don't feel like it. I don't know. I don't trust it.
I ha- I have a Ouija board. I have a Ouija board currently to this day. I've had it for such a long
Challenge
time.
accepted.
I
In
mean,
your,
like I mean, like,
I'm into that stuff. I had to get one. Had it for many years. Nothing bad has
yeah,
yet happened to me. Like the stars. In your movie, you play with a Ouija board, don't you?
yeah.
How
But like
was that?
that's well, like that's the thing though. I don't really the the situation or scene where the haunt hunters, that's what we're called, haunt
Yeah,
hunters, when they have like a Ouija board and everything. I wasn't actually involved in that scene and everything, but
Okay.
I do remember
smart
as they
man.
were filming it, I was like watching it, like watching it happen and everything, just seeing it how it all
They probably
unfolds
had
and
like a
everything.
magnet under the table or something, right? And they were just like moving it.
No, surprisingly, no, they didn't have like anybody like under the table like moving it or
Okay.
Yeah,
anything. I remember like, I think it was like they had it on the floor, and it was like, or on the floor or on the table. I
mm,
think it was on the
mm,
table. But like obviously the space between the table and the floor, it was like really small. So yeah, it would be impossible to
Okay.
have something. But
yeah,
yeah, like, I remember watching it and just sort of like lights flickering, like going off, the doors slamming and everything. I was because I was there. I was like watching it all happen and watching these guys like Natasha, Jack, Will, Steve, and Kelly. Those guys like bring it to life. Their reaction. Their reactions to the lights flickering.
yeah.
I even did like a voiceover. Like I would like let out a scream like, ah, just to get yeah. And yeah,
That's
it was
fine.
it was it was definitely a lot of fun, just watching that. And yeah, it was quite interesting.
Yeah, I love how you said. I tell you're an intelligent man because I love how you sat watching it. He had no part in that whole thing. He said, "No
He's
way, I'm
like
not going to
exit
be a part
left.
of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll
like
stay from a distance."
a lot. Yeah, like a lot. It was just like as as an actor and as a filmmaker, even when there's like situations or scenes that don't involve me, like when I'm watching it on like those little monitors,
Mhm.
it's
Mm,
it's still like really interesting, just to see how it like how everyone does, like how everyone performs and everything. I'm just like really drawn to that and everything.
Yeah, I obviously I've never been on any kind of set or anything like that, but like I'm hoping like one of my writings will, end up on film at some point or something,
Mm.
some kind of project. That's
Mhm.
definitely like a life goal of mine, but yeah, it's got to pick at it. But
Yeah.
we love talking to like people that work on these films or projects, all these different things, like we had Claire Cartwright like what, like 3 weeks ago, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
that was really fun too. She's awesome. You're
Yeah.
incredible. We wish you all the best success and everything you're doing. We can't wait to see this movie, Haunting at Jack the Ripper's house.
Yeah.
I'm very excited
And
for it.
and Bender's Revenge.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely gonna watch
I'm
that too.
yeah. I'm not sure like because obviously you guys are based in the US.
Yeah,
I'm not
We don't
sure
get too
like
many things
yeah.
like that. It's hard. It's
I
hard
mean
for us to find them.
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not too sure about like Bitter Revenge, but for The Haunting of Jack the Ripper's House, I'm not sure exactly when it's going to have its like premiere in the US
Right.
and
Yeah.
everything.
It usually
Now,
takes a while. Yeah.
yeah, like that's the thing about like these premieres. It definitely it definitely does take like a lot of time and a lot of preparation to do all that and
No.
everything. So.
Well, when it does come out, we're still gonna check it out.
No.
Yeah,
And yeah,
I'll be sure to let you guys know.
Yeah.
yeah.
Please
Please
do.
do. All right. Well,
You've been a wonderful guy, man, and
yeah.
we super appreciate you blessing us with your knowledge of your film acting and modeling career. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
Thank you
All
guys
right.
so much.
Again, this is the Boo Crew. We will see you guys in a week or so.
That's right.